All right, folks, that's the Brian Hornback podcast. Now, what you just heard is a little bit of a song by Handsome and the Humbles, my buddy Josh Smith, and that's called Knoxville Lights. That's off their Have Mercy project, and I had sent Josh a message and said, man, I need to have you on my podcast one day, and I'd love to use Knoxville Lights. And so there it is. He said that would be great, but we've not officially said anything. But let's hear a little bit more of that Knoxville Lights, that little bit of a segment from Handsome and Humbles, my buddy Josh Smith, and Knoxville Lights. All right, this is episode 47, so you got a little bit of idea about what that song's about. It's about a young kid that grows up, and his dad tells him that the military is probably a good place for him to go, and he takes off, and when he lays his weary head down at night, he sees those Knoxville lights, and then obviously you also heard the other verse there about being overseas in a politician's war, so kind of appropriate as we've lost 13 lives in Afghanistan, and one of them from right here in Knoxville. So Josh, I'm going to tag you on this Facebook, so you've heard it now. Now we just got to get you on the Brian Hornback podcast at some point, and hope you'll continue to let me use Knoxville Lights, because I've been listening to these guys since my buddy Clay Crownover introduced me to them. I think they were the first. Were they the first? They're the first act that played at the Blue Slip Winery. I think they were. And it was for a CD release. And guys have produced several other projects. I download them, but I promised Josh that I want the entire CD library, and I'm a couple behind right now, but I'm going to get those. But hey, let's talk about this past week. So the week started on August the 30th, obviously, of 2021, and the wife had a birthday on the 31st. For those of you that follow me on Facebook, the wife had a birthday on the 31st. She's finally legal, and so she had a birthday on the 31st. The 31st was also the city of Knoxville election. But before we talk about that, let's talk about what happened on Monday. Monday the 30th. No, I'm sorry. 31st is right. 31st. Let's talk about that one first. That was the city of Knoxville primary election. You had 5 city council seats up for election. 5 of the 6. No, I'm sorry. 5 of the 9. You had District 1, District 2, District 3, District 4, and District 6. If you're watching YouTube, my fingers are probably kind of confusing. District 1, you had 3 candidates. You had Tommy Smith, David Hayes, and Elizabeth Murphy. David Hayes was eliminated on the primary, and so you have Tommy Smith and Elizabeth Murphy going forward to November. Then you had, in the second, you had Andrew Roberto and Kim Smith. Both of those advanced to November. In the third, you had Seema Singh, Nick Sapporo, and both of those are advancing to November. In the 4th district, you had Jim Clanaris, Jen McMahon and Lauren Ryder. Jen McMahon was eliminated because she was the third vote getter, so that advances Jim Clanaris and Lauren Ryder to the to the general in November. And then you had Gwen McKenzie, Deidre Harper, and Garrett Holt in the 6th district. 5th district is not up. He's up when the 3 at-larges are up in 2 years with the mayor. That's Charles Thomas. So in District 6, you had Gwen McKenzie, Deidre Harper, and Garrett Holt. Deidre Harper might have been the shock of the night by most observers, as it's a primarily African-American district. And Deidre Harper was eliminated because she was the third vote getter. And so Gwen McKenzie and Garrett Holt advanced to November. The 3 people that did not advance, David Hayes, Jen McMahon, and Deidre Harper, were all part of what has been called the City Council movement. They came into place about 4 years ago in supporting Seema Singh in the 3rd district. And then 2 years ago, they helped Seema Singh in an at-large race where she became where she and Amy Midas became the top 2 to run in that at-large race, and Amelia Parker won. So the City Council movement had 2 races that they were successful on in the last 4 years, but now they are. But now the 3 races that they had candidates in 2021, the City Council movement's not in, so they have to decide. And the interesting thing is the incumbents, the 5 incumbents, Smith, Roberto, Seema Singh, Lauren Ryder, and Gwen McKenzie, all of those would be considered in the middle because the City Council movement folks would have been considered left of the middle. So the incumbents are kind of in the middle. The candidates that are opposing them or running against them are all supported by the Republican Party. So they would be considered the right. And so those would be Elizabeth Murphy, that would be Kim Smith, that would be Nick Sapporo, that would be Jim Clanaris, and that would be Garrett Holt. So we will see what happens between now and October the 13th when early vote starts. October 13th to the 27th is early vote, and we'll try to get all of those on the podcast at some point in the near future. Then let's go to Wednesday, September the 1st, and we find ourselves at some reorganization meetings because it's September 1st. The county commission, the school board have to select new leaders for the year. Larson J. had been the commission chairman for the last year, and he did not seek reappointment as commission chairman. And so you had Richie Beeler, the representative from up in East Knox County that was seeking the chairmanship. John Schoonmaker from West Knoxville, the 5th district, was also nominated. He withdrew his name. I guess he saw the handwriting on the wall that Beeler probably had more votes than him. He had been serving as vice chair with Jay, so he withdrew. But then he was nominated for vice chairman. But so was Justin Biggs, the at-large commissioner. Larson J. was the at-large commissioner from seat 10. Justin Biggs is the at-large commissioner from seat 11. He's running for trustee next year, so he's got 1 year left. And the commission, a majority of the commissioners chose Biggs over Schoonmaker. However, Schoonmaker still has some leadership on the commission because in addition to all of that, they also select chairs of their committees. Larson J., who was the former commission chair, challenged John Schoonmaker to be the finance chairman. But John Schoonmaker prevailed, so he will serve a second year as the finance committee chairman. And all the commissioners, all 11 commissioners, serve on the finance committee. So John Schoonmaker will lead that committee. And so there was some other committees that I will detail out on the blog, brianhornback.com, about who's in leadership and who's on those committees, if you're so inclined to know that. Then every 10 years, obviously, we do a census across America, and we have to change how we have to make sure that our elected officials represent the same number of people. And so there's a redistricting committee that began its work also on Wednesday. I think Commission Chairman former Commission Chairman Larson J. thought that he was going to be the redistricting committee chairman. And from all intents and purposes, he had done a lot of the preliminary work up to the Wednesday meeting as him being the commission chairman. And when they met, Mr. J was nominated, but as was 4th District County Commissioner Kyle Ward. Sorry about that. And so Kyle Ward prevailed in being the chairman of the redistricting committee. And so what that will do with that one, you got all 11 commissioners on that committee, along with Administrator of Elections. Chris Davis is on that committee, as is the school board chair, which prior to the meeting, we kind of assumed that it would be Susan Horn, who has served for 2 years as the school board chair. But at 4, so this meeting where they selected the chair and vice chair of commission was at 4 o'clock. At 4:30, the Knox County School Board was meeting across the street in the Andrew Johnson building off of Gay Street in Knoxville. And they selected Christy from South Knoxville as their chair. And they selected Evity Satterfield as the vice chair of the school board. Patty Bounds, who's not seeking re-election, nominated Susan Horn. She, along with Mike McMillan, which is going to be an interesting story here in about 30 seconds, voted for, as did Susan Horn. Those three voted for Susan Horn. Everyone else voted for Christy to be chair. Evity Satterfield was elected by acclamation, much as what happened across the street was different in the fact that Richie Beeler was elected by acclamation, and Justin Biggs and John Schoonmaker. Justin Biggs got more votes than John Schoonmaker and was elected vice chair. So it was kind of the opposite across the street at the school board meeting. But both bodies have fresh new leadership, which is a good thing. School board had a long marathon meeting. So then the redistricting committee. So they selected their chair, their vice chair, and they proceeded the first discussion of redistricting. So Christy being the school board chair now, she'll be on that committee. They've got 2 more meetings in September, the 16th and the 23rd. And so we'll try to follow that as much as we can. The school board then had a raucous marathon meeting where they had 60 different individuals signed up to speak about mask mandate and COVID protocol, all those type things. I captured some pictures from outside the Andrew Johnson building because it was such a small venue. It was in the first floor boardroom, conference room, not much seating there. So they only allowed the 60 people that had signed up to speak to be in the building. Everyone else was put outside the building, which really raises some interesting discussion. The Knoxville News Sentinel apparently has a story that I haven't read yet, talking about, did they violate meeting laws? I've been told by a source that the school board asked well in advance for the main assembly room for their meeting. And Commissioner J, and I guess in his last act as chairman, decided that the commissioners should have that room instead of going to the small assembly room where they could have easily fit, where the people that watched the county commission could have fit in the small assembly room, and all those other folks could have fit in the main assembly room for the school board. But that was Commissioner Jay's last act as commission chairman. And so we'll see if there's any litigation there. Last night, I was sent some information about a federal lawsuit that's been filed by parents of 3 students in the school system suing Governor Bill Lee and Knox County over no mask mandate. We'll see how that goes. That has hit the news today, being Friday, September the 10th, September the 3rd. And so we'll see where that goes. I didn't want to be the first news media with it. I asked, and I was told that it had not been shared anywhere on any media, and so I could have been the first. Sometimes it's best not to be first. And in a situation like that, I felt like it was best not to be first on that one. I've had litigation as a blogger. I got summary judgment from that litigation. Don't want to go through it again. Just don't. So we've got an election coming up, October 13th, early vote to the 27th, November 2nd, city council election. We got new leadership in the city, in the county commission and the county school board. All that's good. All that's good. A little follow up from my last podcast about the Tennessee Republican Party State Executive Committee. There was a contested election in which I was selected as the State Executive Committee man for District 6. Lana Smith, wife and former Miss Tennessee, was selected as the Committeewoman for District 6. That is the that is the Senate district of Senator Becky Massey. And there's been some discussion about, the county executive committee selected Randy Pace, immediate former chairman, as their nominee for that position. They didn't select Brian Hornback. The vetting committee of the state executive committee chose me, recommended me, which means that, I'm not necessarily that well liked all the time, and that's okay. I don't have to be well liked. And they selected another of their own. He's, as immediate past chair, he's on the county executive committee. And they also selected another of their own in their first vice chair, Elaine Davis. She's the one that ran about a year ago against Gloria Johnson, a Democrat. And Elaine Davis was selected to challenge Lana Smith. And both Lana Smith and myself won that election. And the question has come up. Why did only two people know about the vacancy, or why were only two candidates necessarily pursuing it? First of all, to be honest with you, sometimes some of these state executive committee positions, only one person will pick up a petition and run for it anyway. So there's not a lot of interest in giving all your time and some of your money to serving on a state executive committee, because you have to incur all the expense to go to the meetings. You have to incur the expense of joining the Capitol Club. You have to incur the expense of paying for the statesman's dinner, pay for your own lodging, those type things, okay? So there's not a lot of people that want to invest that kind of time. I've been doing this since I was 16 years old. I've been invested in the party for a while. I'm from around here. I've heard that. I've heard it recently that Brian Hornback's from around here. Brian Hornback's one of the people from around here. I ain't ashamed of that. I like these Knoxville Lights, okay? But if the party had chosen to keep the precinct committees together and keep an organized entity of a Republican Party together, I think there would have been more interest, to be honest with you. So that's one thing that I'm going to do during my time on the SEC is encourage the county executive committee. Now that I am a member of the county executive committee again, I served as chairman and immediate past chair 2005 to 2009, 2005 to 2007 as chair, 2007 to 2009 as immediate past chair. I was on the county executive committee. I'm back now because of the fact that I'm a member of the state executive committee. And so I'm going to be working to try to encourage the county executive committee to bring back the precincts. I think it was a bad idea to get rid of the precincts. And so we will. I'm going to pursue that, but I think that's the reason that there probably wasn't more people that was aware that there was a vacancy on the state executive committee, because nobody's talking except the county executive committee. We'll pursue that in the future. We've gone about 20 minutes. I want to go ahead and end this podcast. Let you know that it's been as wild of a week as as I have described it in this fast 21 minutes. And I'm going to leave us with my buddy Josh Smith, Handsome and the Humbles. My favorite song from them, and I love all their music, but my favorite song, Knoxville Lights. So again, this was episode 47 of the Brian Hornback podcast. I thank you all for listening.
Hallelujah, alright, when I rest my